hot dogs.
All right, we have Marshall here. Brian, huge panel tonight. Nice beard. Question. Are you going to address the right contouring allegation of this podcast charging man $9,500 for a seat while OF girls are platformed for free? Yeah, so basically, this guy, he DM'd me on Instagram and he requested to be on the show. I forget. Actually, let me pull it up just so I don't want to misquote myself or him because, I don't know, I feel like being accurate with this sort of stuff is kind of important here. In any case, look, I'm going to try to find it and talk at the same time. Pretty much every single week we get over 100 requests from people to be on the show. We get 100 requests from men to be on the show. And the format of the show, if you guys haven't noticed, we've done 100 plus of these. It's not really like get an equal amount of men, get an equal amount of women on the show. It's kind of primarily based at like interviewing women. Now, occasionally we do have guys who come on the show. They almost more so fill the role of like kind of co-host versus additional panelist. But typically the format of the show is bring women on, and because it's interesting to hear the women's perspective on dating. And you'll notice even the shows where I do bring men on, I'm not really directing so many questions towards them. It's more so, again, the format of the show is interviewing women. In the same way, if I was to have a fashion show and I had primarily female models and I was making women's clothing, I would predominantly be hiring women for the thing. So the whole format of the show, it's not like there's not equality when it comes to the panel. Like, we primarily bring women on, and that's established with the 100 plus shows we've had. Now we get, despite the fact also that we say we're just casting women, we get like 100 guys a week saying, please put me on the show. We only do 2 shows a week. We have limited size there's a limited amount of seats on the panel. It would be impossible for us to accommodate every single individual who requests to be on the show. So unfortunately, just as a matter of practicality, we have to turn down people. We have to reject people. I don't like to use reject, but we cannot, again, if we would have to do a show every single day of the week to accommodate every single person's request to be on the show. So we have to say no to some people. In this guy's case, we have like just a blanket thing that we send out saying, hey, we're primarily casting women. That's the format of our show. What we do offer when it comes to the $9,500 thing you offered or you mentioned, first off, no man, we haven't had any guy on the panel pay to be on the panel so far. Every guy that's been on the panel, it's either just somebody I know, somebody, Chase, or like another content creator, right? In our messages, when we tell people, hey, we're primarily casting women, we are not really accepting applications at this time. That might change in the future. We have sponsorship options. So the sponsorship option, which is available to people who don't even want to be on the show, if you want to sponsor the podcast, let's say you have a product. We've only done like 5 sponsorships. We've done 100 videos. So we did something with Blue Chew. We did something with, we've done like 5 sponsorships, not a lot, right? So what we say is, hey, if you want, like, we can offer a sponsored seat option. If you're really, really dead set on coming on the podcast, let's say you have a product okay, Madison, stop. You can do it later, but let's say you have a product or you want to promote your social media page, then that is an option. If you're dead set on being on the show, we extend this opportunity for people who want to sponsor the podcast, and then we can get you on the show. At the end of the day, again, we have 100 people every single week who want to be on the show. We have to be somewhat selective when it comes to who's going to be on the show. And then the other factor I would point out, the individual who messaged me, here, this is where I need to try to find it if I can.
You got personal.
His step 1 to being invited on the podcast, don't insult the person you are requesting to be on the podcast.
Yes.
His messages were very aggressive. This guy's very entitled. He feels like he seemed entitled. Like he was. Here's the thing, right? If I'm reaching out to somebody to do a collab, especially like, I would not blow up Joe Rogan if I reached out to Joe Rogan and I said, hey, Joe Rogan, can I be on your podcast? And he just ignored me, or he just didn't respond, or he turned me down. I would not publicly proceed to put him on blast. That's the name of the game, man. Listen, you have a small platform. I'm not saying that to insult you, but there's a reality when it comes to collaborations. If I can't just again, 100 people want to collaborate with me. I have to kind of move in a way where, okay, you might think it's kind of like scummy to do this, but obviously people want to collaborate with people who have a commensurate social media following. You have a smaller social media following. You're not a bad person for that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it's just the name of the game, man. You should try to collaborate with people that are around your audience size, and at that point, start building up, and then you'll be able to, like, okay, for example, it would be great. Who's really big on I would love to collaborate with Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross gets 70,000 live viewers on his live streams. I'm a small fish compared to Aiden Ross. He's not going to collaborate with me. It's the name of the game, man. You need to try to find people to collaborate with who are on your level. It's not about being a dickhead. And I've actually given smaller creators opportunities, chances to come on the platform. But it's just the reality of social media, man. Like, and also when you're coming at me aggressively, like, I don't want you sitting next to me, man. Like, you need to have some tact when you're like, okay, let me actually pull it up. Do you guys want to talk for a bit while I'm trying to find this? Sorry, I'm fucking rambling. But.
Speaking of aggressive, okay, so maybe I'm not with the times or whatever, but you mentioned Aiden Ross, and I'm actually going to be on his show soon because
nice.
I know, because apparently there's no plus size black women in LA, or there's like a really small percentage, but was specifically looking for plus size black women to be a part of his show, because I guess, you know how he does that show where like he hooks up his friends with like girls or whatever,
like speed dating,
yeah. So apparently one of his friends only likes plus size black women. I was the only one in LA. He is cute. So yeah, so but I don't know
the only one in LA. Hello.
I know that. So yeah, and I was like, well, who? Because I know my younger brothers, like, they know about more streamer people or Twitch people than I do. So I asked them, I was like, yeah, like, we know him. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right. But so really quick on the sponsorship thing. So when people message they want to come on, we mentioned that we do have like a sponsorship tier that, like, if a company reaches out to us via email and they're like, hey, we want to sponsor the podcast, sometimes we haven't set it up yet, but we offer them, hey, we can do a 30 to 60 second ad read. But if you also have someone that represents your company that you want them to sit, like we didn't set it up yet, but there's a dating app, a conservative dating app company. And they're like, well, let's put our founder on the panel. We can sponsor an episode. So we have different sponsorship packages. This isn't me like trying to milk money from people. Nobody's taken me up on this yet. It's just, hey, if you're really dead set on coming and being on the show, we offer this as an opportunity. Again, if you're dead set and you want to be on the show, here's an opportunity. Otherwise, it's just, that's the option, or it's just a flat out, we can't put you on the show. So it is what it is. Let me pull it up though.
Don't be modest. Listen, he's got a great show. People want to be on it. Sorry.
I'm not like, just to make something clear, like if you're a smaller creator, there's nothing, like some people like to, you only have 10,000 followers, you're lame. It's not that. It's just a practicality thing. Like, how many people would love the opportunity to go on Joe Rogan podcast and they're not particularly notable and they have 5,000 followers. You could line up 1 million people that would love the opportunity to get that kind of exposure on Joe Rogan. But the sheer fact that, like, Joe Rogan has probably a screening process, not everybody's going to get to go on a major show. Who else is really big? I don't know. Who's Mr. Beast? I would love to collaborate with Mr. Beast. The reality is that my audience size is nowhere near approaching comparable to his. Like, he would probably want to collaborate with somebody who, the whole point of a collaboration typically is to, you exchange your audience a little bit. And also let me try to find the DMs. Okay. I'm just because.
Sorry, I had a question for you actually. So yes.
Oh, okay.
You said you were saving yourself till marriage. So does saving yourself for marriage mean like doing nothing physically intimate at all until you're married? Or
Hold on, we'll come back to that. I'll just read the messages. So he messaged me back in May saying he debated destiny, and then he says it'd be cool to go on and teach men to date with the intention of marriage and why the red pill guys are a bunch of cucks. Okay.
I think he sounds great. Just kidding.
So, but like, if you consider me red pill, if you are in your first message, your solicitation to come be on the show is by calling me or people that I associate with cucks, my dude, like, you need to have a bit of grace when you are soliciting to come into someone's studio and be on their show. You like step one of getting onto a podcast. Do not insult the person who you are asking to let you on the podcast. It's how to win friends and influence people. Very simple shit. Let me read the rest here. And then
Don't send him any
we
more
gave you a
messages.
response,
He's
by the
fat.
way. We didn't just leave you on red. We told you, hey man, and we give like when we turn people down, it's a very polite, hey, thank you for your message. Unfortunately, we're just, we get so many messages, we can't accommodate everybody. So I said, currently we're not accepting applications. And then you started arguing with me about my polite rejection. Brother, you need to learn how to handle rejection way better. And then I didn't respond to you. And then in August, you said I'm a dork who invites whores on your show for clickbait. Just continue to affirm these type of whore women.
Excuse me. Dorks are 6 feet
So
tall.
you've proceeded. Is it any surprise I didn't give you a heartfelt invitation to the studio when you're insulting me ad hom, and then you're calling the women? Listen, I invite women on who I disagree with, but bro, if you're like, come on, brother. I don't want to invite a guy on who's just going to sit across from women and call them whores, Let's see what else. And then you just continue.
These are the receipts. This is the tea right here.
Let's see what else.
Drama.
I think your
He
point
has
is
to
very
school
clear.
them. I
In
think
any
it's
case,
obvious. Like,
no, look, I don't have any issues with this guy, but look, at the end of the day, when it comes to collaboration, there needs to be comparable audience size. And again, step one of getting on a podcast, don't insult the person who would invite you on the podcast. Very simple. Okay.